we want to reward the business community, the expatriate business community, for the good work that they're doing. And we don't want to spend any money as governments. We want to raise money from the same people that we want to reward or award to meet the cost of awarding them. We don't want to spend one peso. Meanwhile, as you said earlier on, the benefits come to us as a country. That is why I'm saying that in the case of the Farmers' Day program, the awardees were not asked to donate either in cash or in kind to support the program. These are the distinction I'm trying to arrive at.
Honorable Member, let me reaffirm this position. I do not intend to be speaking on behalf of the collaborating partner and how they carried out their. But I've also indicated that it does not mean that I'm not interested in how the funds are mobilized. But with specific reference to whether it is proper for the fund organizer to be mobilizing funds from the same community that they are going to award. Again, it is clear, I'm not speaking on their behalf, but I do not have any information to suggest that they were only raising funds from the expatriate business community. I do not have those facts. If you read, and that's why I tried to address our minds to the express words used in the MOU. It says, under the responsibilities of the foundation, that's 1.81, coordinate, design, and solicit from sponsors nationwide. Nationwide. So there's no express mention of the fact that they are mobilizing funds only from. There are people who have a common interest and shared objective with the government and our collaborating partner that expatriate businesses should be rewarded. So it doesn't matter, they may not even be invited to the event, but then they share the same objectives. So I'm only clarifying that it may even mean that they were able to raise funds from non-expatriate businesses. Thank you.
The information that we have so far from the document being tendered in means that it is the same expatriate community that have been targeted in this fundraising issue. That is why I asked that question. And the nationwide that you have mentioned in the MOU, I think the expatriate business committee has spread nationwide. So the nationwide here does not mean it goes beyond the expatriate business community. They also spread nationwide.
Yeah, Honorable Member, I'm addressing the fact that there is no specific mention that they are supposed to solicit funds from sponsors only from the expatriate business community. There's no indication to that effect.
Thank you. Let's move on. Honorable Minister. One of your officers was designated to receive the money from the expatriate community that were supporting this event. And yesterday we got to know that one Mr. Ayamga, I'm right, Ayamga, at room 308 in your office, is the one designated to receive this money. Is Mr. Ayamga here in the hall?
Mr. Ayamga, identify yourself. He stepped out.
Okay, let's move on. What method what method was used? What method was used to receive the money from the supporters or the sponsors? By this question, I mean, is it receipt by cash, by check, by bank drafts, or by direct bank transfer? What method was used in collecting the money?
Honorable member, I want to be sure that I'm responding exactly to your inquiry. When you say what method was used to receive?
Method of receiving the cash. Is it you receive by cash or check, banker's draft, or direct transfer from the sponsor's account to the ministry's account?
The famous Ayanga is here. He will give us that information and we will pass it on to you, honorable member.
I prefer you respond to me because I want your voice to be recorded.
So, Mr. Chairman, he will indicate that to me and I'll provide it to the committee.
Very well. But I was thinking that if you can look at Moti 3.
An honorable member, kindly refer to Exhibit Moti 3, and this gives you a record of the receipts of funds mobilized. So you would see in column 3 that except column number 15, the rest, it's identified how the money was received. Check number, you know, and then when you come to 15, it says cash. Then there was direct transfer, 17 and 18. Direct transfer to the account, the designated account. So everything is provided for here.
Thank you very much. Were receipts issued by your ministry to the various sponsors who made this donation? Were receipts issued?
Yes, receipts were issued because you have to acknowledge receipt of the funds. So receipts were issued.
What type of receipt was issued? Is it a general counterfeit receipt or any other receipts?
Mr. Chairman, GCR.
GCR, thank you. Can you supply this committee with a receipt book for verification?
Mr. Chairman, the GCR is here for verification, and reconciliation is there.
Kindly tender it in.
Yes, Minister, we'll take hold of it. I don't know if this one can be duplicated, so we'll leave it as it is. But we will label it.
That's good.
Yeah, we will label it.
Respectfully, as you know, this is a source document, And so I hope that it will be in safe custody.
I don't need now. The chairman will have to take it to be in the custody of the chairman. And then I'll take it and then use it to do my records. But just a preliminary observation on Moti 3, Exhibit Moti 3. I could realize that the receipt numbers, there are some receipt numbers that are missing. I don't know whether you've canceled them, but I want to respond from you before I even verify the receipt. The receipt number 7 is not part of your record here. Receipt number 15 is not part of your record here. And receipt number 22 is not part of your record. Those 3 receipts, we won't want to know whether you've canceled them and they are part of the receipt book. But more interestingly, Mr. Minister, on the Moti 3, Mr. Minister, on the Moti 3, item, column 1, item number 12 and 15, no, number 12 and 13, sorry. These are receipt number 13 and the same number 13, issued to B5 Plus Limited. Now, I want to find out from you, why were you able to issue one receipt for 2 separate amounts?
2 receipts.
One receipt for 2 separate amounts. If it's a duplication, you let us know.
So, Mr. Chairman, the response to your first question is that there's an additional source book here, which can also be tendered. So, same one, the ones that were missing, and then canceled, because those were canceled. But in response to your latter question, the 2 checks were received at the same time. The 2 checks from BF were received at the same time. But if you look at the serial numbers of the checks, there are 2 different checks, but they are received at the same time. So one receipt was issued.
So the accountant decided to report on it on separate occasion. Why couldn't have just write the 2 check numbers, check number 1 stroke the other one receipt number, the total amount, finish. Because you issue one receipt, you didn't write 110 plus 110. I believe you wrote 220, the total of the 2. Yeah, so one receipt, the check are 2 separate checks, so you write 2 separate check numbers. That would have been better, okay?
They will do that next time.
Yeah, let me come back to find out from you, Honorable Minister, that you issue or you use general counterfeit receipt book to collect the money. Do you know that general counterfeit receipt book is a value book?
Yes, Honorable Member.
And that is issued to you by Controller and Accountant General?
Yes, indeed.
For which whatever money you collect by issue of that receipt must be accounted for and audited, in fact, by the Auditor General.
I'm sure, Mr. Chairman, that Honorable Member can give us the relevant provisions in the law, administrative procedures that would establish that fact. I mean, I'm not an accountant, but I can check with, it's very simple. If you provide that indication. Yeah.
I'm asking this question because as part of your MOU, you have asked Millennium Excellence Foundation to appoint an auditor to audit this. If you are collecting money with a government value book, which is a general counterfeit receipt, I'll come back to account matter. And I'm saying that these must be paid into government accounts and must be audited by the Auditor General. Why have you given power to a private person to appoint a private auditor to audit the account?
Respectfully, Honorable Member, I do not agree with the conclusion that you've come to, that because a GCR is issued, then it has to be accounted for and audited by the Controller Accountant General. Maybe you need to establish the basis for that. Yes.
Honorable Minister, I will refer you to some sections or regulations. But before I do that, you are disputing that the revenue that you have collected by issue of GCR should not be audited by the Auditor General.
Honorable Member,
is that what you are saying?
Honorable Member, I am only suggesting and submitting that collection of funds or receipting funds does not necessarily translate this into revenue. That's all I'm saying. That if we have an MOU with a private entity, the MOU requires monies to be collected by the private entity and receipted by the government, and we've indicated why for us that was important. That does not translate that into government revenue. Revenue accrues to a government institution when the revenue is an income generated from the normal operations of an activity of that entity. In this particular case, the monies were mobilized for a very specific exercise, which has nothing to do with the normal operations of the ministry.
What then is, how do you title that money? You receive the money using government receipt book, but it is not for you because it is not your revenue. How do you title that receipts?
The ministry's account is only a conveyor belt.
I'm not asking about the account. I'm asking how do you title that money that you have received, which is not for you, it's for a private person, but you use a government receipt book to collect it. How do you title it?
You mean, how do I title the money? The money.
What name do you give to that money? How do you classify that money?
These are funds received for the purposes of an event that is being organized between, in collaboration with a private entity. So do we need to title that? Because as I said, it is an in and out transaction. So if you say title, I can give any title here, but obviously it is not of significance to us for purpose of this investigation.
Honorable Minister, it is not you titling it. We have rules and laws that govern financial management of this country. So it is not you titling it by calling it any name, okay? It is either a public funds or money you're holding in trust for somebody. That is what I'm asking you. How do you title that money? If it is not government revenue, how do you title it?
Respectfully, Honorable Member, that was why I was suggesting that if you have an appropriate title for it, I mean, we can table it for purposes of this discussion. I don't have a title for it. If you have a title for it, there's no problem.
It is not me who have a title for it.
Okay,
it is the laws of this country that has a title for it.
So what does the law say?
Let me refer you to, I don't know whether you have a copy, Financial Administration Regulation 2004, ILA 1802.
I do have that.
Regulation 56, trust monies. Trust monies are monies received into or held in the consolidated fund and administered by public officers on behalf of a member of the public or a private or public agency in accordance with the terms of any enactment, agreement, or trust deed, and include receipts and disbursements. So if you are saying that this money is not for you, it's not for government, and it is for the event organizer, then it can conveniently sit under trust money. Do you agree with me?
Honorable Member, it cannot sit conveniently under that because the express words are there. You are talking about trust monies.
Yes.
Respectfully.
Yes.
It says trust monies are monies received into or held in the consolidated fund.
Yes.
This is not money received into or held in the consolidated fund. The consolidated fund is a repository for public funds. That is the meaning of the consolidated fund. Now, when you receive monies, as was done, how does that translate into public funds? So, your reference to this particular article, section,
regulation,
section, received into or held in the consolidated fund and administered by public officers on behalf of a member of the public or any private or public agency in accordance with the terms of any enactment. There's no enactment on this. Yes, an agreement or trust deed and include receipts and disbursements. So this is different.
Any enactment or agreement, the MOU is agreement between you and the private event organizer. And the money you are receiving, you have received, all does not belong to you, belong to the person. So you are only holding that money in trust for the private person.
But Honorable Member, I made reference earlier on to the opening paragraph. What you are reading must be read in entirety. That's the rules of interpretation. I mean, it must be read in its entirety. So,
well, if you want us to go into that, we can go to Article 178 of the Constitution. We can go to Article 175 and 176, where we can see the definition of public funds, definition of consolidated fund, and how monies are disbursed. We have that. We don't want to go into that detail.
Yeah.
But where you have used government receipts to collect revenue, how are you going to account to Comptroller and Accountant General that the receipt that you have issued to me to collect government revenue, I use it to collect private revenue?
Honorable Member, I'm sure you know this, that when you are reading a certain clause or article in any enactment, you must read it in its entirety. So I respectfully invite you to read Section 2 of this same provision that you are referring to. Except as expressly provided for in any enactment, agreement, or trust deeds, the trust money shall be subject to these regulations. Yes, shall be subject to, as though they were public monies. So there is an exclusionary provision there, except as expressly provided for in any agreement. So it takes us to what you are referring to. I mean, I don't want us to talk about whether an MOU is an agreement or not, but that is the document under reference here from what you are saying. And this provision is saying that except as expressly provided for, so that's an exclusionary phrase. So if it is provided for in the agreement, to hold the monies and for it to be disbursed in a particular way, then it falls, it does not fall under these regulations. That's what it means.
Minister, we'll proceed and we'll get to where we want to get to. Now, were the monies received lodged into any account?
Honorable Member, yes, it was lodged into an existing account.
Can you provide the account details to this committee? What I mean by detail, I'm talking about the account name,
Yes.
the account number, the bank name, and the branch, and other relevant information. Who are the owners of this account?
Honorable Member, we can provide that information. It will be forwarded to you in due course.
Now, this account that into which the monies were paid, was this account opened under the authority of the Comptroller and Accountant General?
Honorable Member, I did indicate that it is an existing account.
I know.
Yes.
It was opened. Was it
yes,
opened under
existing
the authority?
account opened under the authority of the controller. Yes.
Can we have evidence of that authority from Comptroller?
We'll provide that.
Sure. I'm asking this question because, again, if you read the Regulation 14 on the opening of accounts, 14, opening of bank account of public funds. And once this account is not for only this purpose, it existed before, I hope that you agree with me that it is for public funds. That one says that the Comptroller and Accountant General shall establish bank accounts of the public funds of the Ghana, or the bank at the Bank of Ghana, and its agents in and outside Ghana for the purpose of conducting financial business of government. And the bank account shall be designated in currencies as may be determined by the Comptroller and Accountant General in consultation with the Minister. 2, all bank accounts opened by the Comptroller and Accountant General and designated as consolidated fund account at the Bank of Ghana or its agent shall form part of the consolidated fund. 3, balances of allocation from consolidated fund in the operational bank account of the departments shall form part of the consolidated fund. So your ministry is a department, and whatever account you have, there form part, any balance in that account form part of the consolidated fund. So, but the emphasis is on 1, where you cannot open a bank account if that account is not opened by the Comptroller and Accountant General. So provide that information to the committee.
Yes, Honourable Member, we've indicated that that information will be provided.
Now, were there payments made out of the bank accounts? I have motive 4, but I'm asking again, were there payments made out of bank accounts?
Yes, Honourable Member, as you rightly pointed out, motive 4 is under reference here, and all those payments and the name of the payees are listed there. Yes.
Thank you. Because there was one company that paid cash, I want to ask this question. Were there payment made out of the cash received directly? or the cash was also lodged into the account?
Honourable Member, the cash was lodged into the account.
Let me refer you to Exhibit Motive 4. That is the expenditure sheets. I have not seen any PV number here. I've seen the date of the transaction, the payee's name, the check number, and the amount, but there is no PV number. Can we be furnished with copies of all the PVs?
Yes, it's available.
Now, let me take you through the disbursement I've seen here. I've seen graphic communication, maybe an advert placed somewhere. I've seen Chief Director and GRA. What was this payment for? 18,000 Ghana cedis. It's paid in the name of Chief Director and GRA.
Honourable Member, you are referring specifically to item 1, 2?
Item 2. Item 2.
Item 2, that's Chief Director
and GRA. Yes.
So that is... Yeah. So, Mr. Chairman, 2, the payment to Chief Director and GRA is planning committee allowances, and then the reference to GRA is the taxes paid on the allowances.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. So this confirms that the planning committee received allowances.
I don't think there has been any dispute.
I said this confirmed. So you said it earlier on, and this is confirming that truly the record shows that they receive allowances. Well, let's move on. There's another item 3, Chief Director and GRA again, 13,500. Is it also an allowance?
The same thing.
The same.
Yes.
Item 5, Chief Director, 3,000. Is it also allowance?
Item 5.
So, item 5 is for hiring of vehicle and other expenses for a retreat that was organized in furtherance of this event, the organization of this event. Everything is listed. Yes.
So the Chief Director provided a vehicle?
Oh, I say hiring.
Yeah, if you hire a vehicle, you provide a vehicle for the ministry to hire. That's why the check is issued to him. Is that it?
Oh, no, no. This is interest for hiring of the vehicle.
Well, there is no indication of impress. That is why I'm asking the question.
Oh, I agree with
So
you. I'm providing further and better particulars of this.
Yeah. Sure, impress. Then, again, item 8, Chief Director, 10,000.
That is press facilitation.
Press facilitation?
Yes.
Okay. Is that what you usually call Soli?
I did not say that, please.
Honourable Minister, let's move on. Item 13 on the list, multi-destination inspection scheme, 40,000. What is that?
So, Honourable Member, as part of the process for undertaking the planning of this exercise, because we were holding the receipts, this particular item was an advance in respect of some of the planning preparatory activities. And so it is a refund to the ministry, because monies have been received to the account. And so this was a refund.
Risk fund for what activity? Which the ministry undertook earlier.
As an advance for some of the preparatory activities.
Yes, and this was paid out of ministry's own account to probably the event organizers.
For the purposes of
so now it's being paid from this account back to the ministry's account, which was paid earlier on.
Yes, this is a return.
Yeah, so those preparatory work, what were they?
Oh, we've listed a number of preparatory work. So,
well, when we get the payment voucher,
you can easily audit that. Yes.
We'll get the details there. Now, what is the procedure, the approval process before money is paid out of this account? Who initiates the activity? Who authorize, who approve before the check is written and signed?
In line with the provisions of the MOU, a request comes from the foundation, and then the request is authorized or endorsed by the chief director for payment, and the money is then released from the account to the foundation to undertake the necessary expenditure.
So it's the chief director who approved, not the minister?
It's the chief director. You see the reference to chief director in what we have been talking about.
Yeah, so your earlier fear where you want ministry to receive the money because you don't want to sit down for them to come and disclose anything to you, that this is what we have mobilized. And for that matter, the ministry should receive the money. Is the event organizer also having the same fear that you also disclose anything to them?
Well, we came to an understanding. An MOU is an understanding reached between parties in respect of how activities will be organized in their common interest. That's what a memorandum of understanding is. So that's what we agreed to do. If they were afraid that their monies will be encumbered, but I'm unable to establish that.
I'll finish soon, don't worry. I want you to educate me. Probably if you don't have the answer, your chief director is there, your Ayamga, the financial controller is there, or the accountant is there to help. Under the financial management laws of Ghana, can you tell me which law in Ghana that states that you can use government receipts to collect private money and pay into government account?
Honorable member. So, Honorable Member, if you go to clause 28 or 28 of the regulations, it talks about issue of original receipt. And I read, with your kind permission, Mr. Chairman. A collector who is satisfied that money tendered is in order shall issue an original receipt to the payer and shall deal with the duplicate and triplicate copies as required by departmental accounting instructions. So that is a relevant provision. And it says that 2 says temporary receipts or receipts other than in the authorized form shall not be used for collections. So this underpins why we have to use the GCR. 3 says a person who issues a temporary receipt or an authorized form for collections is in breach of financial discipline as defined in Regulation 8.1. We did not intend to be in breach of the regulations.
Honourable Minister, do you think that this answers my question? This one is an issue of receipt for collection. The law says that issue official receipts whenever you're receiving money. Yeah. And don't forget that you are dealing with government department, so that money you are collecting is assumed to be government money. So I'm asking you, which law says that you can use that receipt, which you should have issued to collect government revenue, you can use it to collect private revenue and pay into government account? That's my question.
But Honourable Member, we are in serious disagreement on this matter, that the money collected was government money. That is the foundation of this disagreement. I am not going back to that point again. Honourable Member, respectfully, if I can finish. I've taken time to describe the circumstances surrounding this collaboration, the obligations on either party. Money being collected by a private organization for the purposes of organizing an event in collaboration with the government. How does that become public money? So if you are requiring me to show you where in the laws of Ghana that is, how then do you also establish that that is public money?
I am taking your position that that money is a private money. By your definition, you are saying it's a private money. I've agreed to that. And I'm saying that which law says that you can use government receipts to collect that private money and pay into government account? That's my question.
Honorable, this is very simple. Which law says that you cannot? No, it's very simple. You are alleging. So the burden of establishing that lies squarely upon you.
I think that I've explained this in earlier on, that the receipt book is a value book issued by Controller and Accountant General to collect government revenue. That is what the law says.
You are not in dispute, Honorable Member. I'm only saying that.
So my question is that why, okay, let me reframe the question. Why did you use the receipt book which was issued to you by Controller and Accountant General to receive private money?
So I'm saying that this matter will be resolved if you point me to any legislation or enactment that establishes that that cannot be done. That is very simple.
Well, we'll take your answer into our consideration. If we're saying that there is no legislation where...
I'm saying if you have, no, that you know. If he doesn't have, the committee will take a stand.
We'll take a stand on that. So let's move on. Now, the Minister, let me refer you to the letter issued by the Honorable Minister for Information on 21st December 2017. In fact, we don't know that the time of that that letter. Probably maybe in future we want to put in time when letters were issued because of what I'm going to raise. In that letter, the Minister of Information, and let me read, says that following public debates on alleged extortion of money from the expatriate business community for a seat at the presidential table at the Ghana Expatriate Business Awards, the President, in a letter dated 20th December 2017, and issued through the Chief of Staff as the Minister for Trade to answer to that concern. The Minister for Trade has since responded to the President's query. The facts, as reported to the President, do not disclose any wrongdoing on the part of the Minister or any government official. The President has therefore asked the Minister to put those facts before the Ghanaian people. The letter from the President to you to respond to the issues was written to you on the 20th of December. And Honorable Minister, you responded to the President, and on 21st December, the President is asking you to put those facts before the Ghanaian people. Does your response to the President amount to an investigation by the Presidency into the matter?
Mr. Chairman, I need clarity on this. Is the honorable member asking me to establish whether a letter written by the President to his minister, whether that is an investigation? Is that what the honorable member is asking me to clarify?
Honorable Minister, you earlier on answered the same question posed by a member of this committee. And I'm saying that you were written to on the 20th of December.
Yes.
By the President.
Yes.
I'm not asking you even to disclose that letter.
Yes.
Because the Minister of Information told us that you have been written to by the President through the Chief of Staff.
Yes.
To respond to the matter in the public domain.
Yes.
And you went and briefed the President.
Yes.
And the Minister of Information says that the facts that you laid before the President shows that there was no wrongdoing. Yes. And I'm asking, by you going to lay the facts before the President, does it amount to an investigation by the Presidency into the matter?
Respectfully, are we using the word investigation in its legal sense, or it is the ordinary use of the word investigation?
I'm using the word investigation. I don't know how you understand it. Well, let me go further.
Yes.
You responded earlier to a question posed by a member. And your response was that the investigation by the Presidency shows that there was no wrongdoing. That is what I'm asking you. Does you laying your facts before the President to tell the President these are the facts, does that amount to an investigation being conducted by the Presidency? Does it amount to that? That's a simple question. Yes or no?
Excellency, Honorable Chairman, if the President receives a report from his minister and interrogates the matter, am I the one to suggest whether it's an interrogation or investigation? The fact that the question was put earlier on would have been a different context. But you honorable member,
said that it was investigation. That is why I'm asking the same question.
Okay, all right. I understand what you are saying. No, I'm saying that I do not know how it was described. within the context of the presidency.
Also, you are changing your answer, your first answer. You are changing it. So now you don't know how it was described.
But that's exactly the case.
Described.
Maybe I'm not understood you.
I think the question Honorable Asibeyabwa asked was that he was written to, he provided a response, and then the president or the presidency created the ministry. And he gave how the whole thing happened. He received a request to supply information. He supplied the information. He sat back, and then he was asked to issue a press statement and put the facts out to the public. So he did not even talk about investigation in his answer. It was the questioner who spoke about investigation.
I hope we are being recorded. I hope we are being recorded. And the appropriate time, we'll call for the record. We'll call for the record.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So I heard the minister say that the investigation cleared him. That's what I'm asking. That's reporting to the president what happened, and the president said, oh, there was no wrongdoing. Does it amount to investigation? Well, maybe now we can do investigation within a day or some hours. No. We're not going to sit for 4 days. We'll sit beyond that. Sorry. Yeah, so let me land.
He doesn't want to finish. He won't finish.
Article 178 of the Constitution. In fact, if I mention article, is only the Constitution.
No. 178.
178.
Are we tendering?
Articles.
My emphasis is on Roman number 4, withdrawal of money from the consolidated fund. And in this case, 4 means this is except under by rules or regulations made under an act of parliament in respect of trust money paid into the consolidated fund. Well, you have earlier on disagree with me that the money is not for you, so it is not public money, and for that matter, it is not part of the consolidated fund. I even want to tell you that if it is not public fund, then is it a trust fund? Even that one, you disagree with me. How then do you describe this money at all? What money is it? If it is not a trust money you are holding in trust for somebody, if it's not a consolidated government money to the consolidated fund, then what money is it?
Honorable Member, I think we've gone through this. If you have a description of the funds, this committee and I would be most pleased that you offer.
I have given the description that it's a trust money,
and I'm
because you are holding me in
money.
trust for somebody, and that one you disagree with me.
Yes, I did disagree with you, and I still disagree with you.
So what then is the money?
I am not inclined to describe the money, because unless there's a reason for describing the money, I'm not sure why I should be describing the money. But you have described the money, and I'm saying that your description is inconsistent with my interpretation of the very provisions of the law that you provided. So at least I am sure that what you are saying is not what I'm referring to.
Well, Honorable Minister, you help us if you tell us what the money is for, because even if you are saying that it is a private money, yet you use the money to pay allowances for public officers, civil servant, private money. You use it to pay allowances for public civil servants who are the members of the planning committee. And you don't want to tell me what is this money? Honorable Minister.
Honorable Member, I'm trying to understand the import of your question. Are you still talking about...
The import of my question is that...
About
the import of my question is that if you look at the expenditure statement,
yeah,
there are allowances paid to the planning committee members. Okay? This money were paid out of the ministry's account. You claim that the money is not government money. It's not government money, but it is paid into ministry's account. And I'm saying that then you are holding the money in trust for somebody. That one you disagree. Yet you use part of that money to pay public servants.
And so I'm trying to understand what is the problem with that. So if you establish clearly that this fund that cannot be described cannot be used to pay an allowance or honorarium for that, I'm trying to find out the basis for...
It's you who says that the fund cannot be described. I did. I said trust money. And you say no.
Yes.
So you said the fund cannot be described. You said...
No, you, respectfully, you are labeling the fund in a way that is, in my view, is not consistent with the law that you are using to support your description. That's all I said.
What then is consistent with the law? You don't even want to share with the committee. What then is consistent with the law? Share with us.
You've defined it, and I've defined it. It is in the MOU. The MOU is clear about it. Monies were collected for the purposes of